Welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're diving straight into a total classic from 1925 by Florence Scovel Shinn. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It. Honestly, if you've ever felt like you're just kind of tumbling through existence, hitting a million obstacles and wondering where the heck the cheat codes are, you are going to absolutely love this. Think of this explainer as your ultimate game designer's manual to the mechanics of the universe. Shinn basically says we've been looking at our daily struggles entirely wrong. So let's map out exactly how to master the gameplay.
Let's kick things off with this foundational idea. Shinn boldly points out that most of us are just wandering around treating our lives like some grueling battlefield, right? We fight our circumstances, battle for resources, brace for impact. But, according to her, life is not a battle at all. It's a game. More specifically, it's a game of giving and receiving. The core mechanic here is that whatever you send out into the world, whether that's in word or deed, is exactly what's going to come back to you. Give hate, you get hate. Give love, you receive love. Pretty straightforward, right? So here is the game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at why life is a game, then check out the power of words and the law of non-resistance. After that, we'll hit karma and forgiveness, following your intuition, and finally wrap up with the ultimate win condition, finding your divine design.
Okay, starting off with part 1, Life is a Game, setting up the players. To play this game successfully, you've got to understand the mechanics of your own mind. Think of this like your character select screen. The ancient Greeks said, know thyself, right? Well, Shinn breaks thyself down into 3 distinct departments. First up is the subconscious. Now, this is pure power without direction. It's kind of like electricity or steam. It literally just does what it's told. It's your faithful servant, but the catch is, it will blindly carry out whatever you impress upon it. Then we have the conscious mind, which Shinn calls the mortal mind. This is the part of you that sees life exactly as it appears, right this second. Limitations, disasters, sickness, poverty, the whole shebang. Finally, there's the superconscious mind. This is the realm of perfect ideas. It holds the absolute best-case scenario for your destiny. So to win, we have to stop letting our conscious mind program our subconscious with all that fear, and instead align ourselves with the perfection of the superconscious.
Moving right along to part 2, the power of words, commands to the subconscious. So, you're probably wondering, how exactly do we program this wildly powerful subconscious mind? Well, our imagination and our spoken words act as direct commands. Every single word you say is essentially an input on the controller. Shinn describes the imagination as the scissors of the mind, ever cutting the pictures we see there. And sooner or later, you meet your own creations out there in the real world. Now here's the kicker. The subconscious has absolutely no sense of humor. Zero. It takes your inputs totally literally. So when you joke about being broke or complain about a situation, those are the exact blueprints the scissors of your mind are cutting out for your future reality.
Check out this contrast, it's wild. Shinn tells this fascinating story about a woman who was just so tired of keeping up her beautiful home. She kept saying, I am sick and tired of things, I wish I lived in a trunk. Well, guess what? Years later, she literally spoke herself into living in a trunk, experiencing extreme limitation. Another wealthy woman constantly joked about getting ready for the poorhouse, and sure enough, she eventually lost it all and became destitute. On the flip side, though, when you use constructive words, like intentionally blessing the few dollars you might have right now and actively speaking abundance into existence, the subconscious faithfully carries out that order to multiply your wealth. It's a real game changer.
Part 3. The law of non-resistance. Water wearing away rock.
Now, if words are our commands, non-resistance is our ultimate defensive strategy. Shinn emphasizes that fighting against adverse circumstances is actually the fastest way to feed them. Think about this. Why do the Chinese say water is the most powerful element? It's because it's perfectly non-resistant. It doesn't fight, it just flows. And yet, it can wear away solid rock and sweep literally everything before it. When we resist a situation, when we get super angry, anxious, or fight against our reality, we're basically anchoring that negative situation directly to us. Shinn points out that if you run away from a problem, it's just going to run right after you. But if you face it fearlessly, without any resistance, the situation just falls away of its own weight.
To show you just how deep this goes, Shinn shares a wonderfully quirky story. A woman came to her complaining that she was severely ill from eating a poisoned oyster. Shinn just looked at her and said, no, the oyster was harmless. You poisoned the oyster. What's the matter with you? And the woman admitted she had just violently quarreled with, wait for it, 19 different people 19. That massive inner disharmony, that intense emotional resistance, manifested physically as disease. The external world was simply mirroring her chaotic internal state.
That brings us to part 4, karma and forgiveness, the boomerang effect. This internal mirroring introduces our next fundamental game mechanic, karma. It's Sanskrit for come back. Simply put, it's the law of consequence. Remember our earlier rule? Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. It is literally a game of boomerangs. Every single thought, deed, or word returns to you with just astounding accuracy. Put out critical, hateful energy, that exact energy is out there looking for a way right back to you. So love, and love returns. It's a strict, mechanical law of cause and effect. But what happens if you've already thrown a bunch of negative boomerangs out there? Are you just doomed to sit around waiting to get hit? How do you clear your karmic debt in this game? Well, thankfully, there is an ultimate cheat code in Shinn's mechanics that lets you bypass this penalty.
So here is the crucial distinction. The law of karma is cause and effect, right? But the law of grace and forgiveness entirely neutralizes your past mistakes. By actively shifting from fear and resentment to true forgiveness, and that means forgiving others and forgiving yourself, you transcend karma. You essentially wipe the slate clean. Shinn states that sending goodwill and blessings to everyone actually robs your enemies of their ammunition, and it transmutes those negative boomerangs into blessings. How cool is that?
All right, part 5, following your intuition, the in-game guide.
So your board is set, your boomerangs are cleared out, but how do you actually know where to move next? Let me anchor this with an incredible story from the book. A woman came to Shinn with literally just $8 to her name, totally desperate for work. Shinn told her to follow her intuition, asking if she had a hunch to do anything specific. Well, the woman felt this strong hunch to take her remaining money and travel home to a distant city. Now, her logical, reasoning mind was screaming at her to stay in New York and find a job, but she followed the hunch anyway. She went home, immediately ran into an old family friend, and that chance meeting miraculously led to her receiving thousands of dollars. Your intuition is basically the superconscious mind giving you a direct hint. You just have to trust it. The only thing that blocks this in-game guidance is fear. Fear is quite literally inverted faith. It's having faith in evil, having faith that things are going to go wrong. We have to actively substitute that fear with faith, holding our vision steady on the good. When you act fearlessly, like digging ditches before it even rains or buying blankets for an apartment you don't even have yet, you are showing the universe active, undeniable faith, and that is what accelerates your manifestation.
Which leads us to part 6, finding your divine design, the ultimate purpose. This brings us to what we're actually playing for. The ultimate win condition in the game of life is discovering and executing your divine design. Shinn outlines this perfect plan held in the superconscious for every single person, and she calls it the square of life. It consists of 4 components: health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. According to her, the game isn't finished until you've squared your life, with all 4 of these elements manifesting in perfect harmony. That final piece, though, perfect self-expression, is absolutely critical. Shinn writes beautifully that there is a place that you are to fill and no one else can fill, something you are to do which no one else can do. It's your true destiny. Finding this unique place brings perfect happiness. And honestly, the best part, the supply needed to execute it, the wealth, the health, the right people, will naturally follow once you drop your fear and demand to know your divine design. So, we've explored the mechanics of the mind, the incredible power of the words we speak, the magic of non-resistance, and the perfect guide of our own intuition. The game is already in progress, and you are the one holding the controller. So I want you to ask yourself, what rules are your words writing today? Are you speaking fear and limitation into your subconscious, or are you claiming your divine design? Change your words, change your gameplay. Go win the game of life. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.